distinguished invitees, conference delegates, ladies and gentlemen, we warmly welcome you to the inaugural International Research Conference 2022 of General Sir John Kotalawala Defence University, Southern Campus. We are extremely grateful for your presence here with us. Ladies and gentlemen, let us take a glimpse of KDU and KDU Southern Campus. KDU Southern Campus was established in the year 2015 in a land of 175 acres to meet the ever-growing demand of students and academics to pursue their higher education and careers at KDU. The campus comprises of two faculties of Built Environment and Spatial Sciences and Faculty of Computing dedicated to offering different degree programs to the undergraduates. At present, Southern Campus is home to over 600 officer cadets and day scholars studying together in harmony and comradeship. The university is dedicated in producing graduates in various disciplines to fulfill the requirements of industry and triforces. Research being a primary component of university education, this year, KDU Southern Campus is hosting its maiden faculty session in Surya Weather, in line with the main conference in KDU Ratmalana. We hope that this conference would be an opportunity for all of you to share and discuss your valuable research findings across multiple subject areas. Ladies and gentlemen, with that note, I request you all to rise for the KDU anthem. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing to observe a minute of silence in memory of war heroes who have made supreme sacrifice in order to protect the sovereignty and the territorial integrity of our motherland. Thank you. Knowledge is a lamp that dispels the darkness of oblivion. This venture marks our attempt to disseminate knowledge among those who seek the light of wisdom. Ladies and gentlemen, may we kindly ask you to join us in the lighting the traditional oil lamp. To do the honors, I would like to respectfully invite Chair of the plenary session, Emeritus Professor Chitra Weddikkara. Rector, Southern Campus, Major General LCR Jayasuriya, RSP, NDC, PSC. Dean, Faculty of Built Environment and Spatial Sciences, Dr. A.H. Lakmal. Executive Director, US, Sri Lanka Fulbright Commission, Ms. Sandarshi Gunawardena. Commanding Officer, Sri Lanka Air Force Station, Veeravilla, Group Captain, ADM, Korlage, USP. Senior Deputy Dean, Faculty of Defense and Strategic Studies, Commander HPM Hevavasam, PSC. Senior Admin Officer, Major JWK Gamage. Commanding Officer, 6th Military Intelligence Corps, Major SAM Ikram, RSP, USP, ISC. Faculty Coordinator, Dr. Rizna Aruz. 1 Officer Cadet and 2 day scholars. Thank you. Our country has a rich cultural background with all forms of dancing, music, and arts dating back to hundreds of years. A traditional dance by the students from Department of Quantity Surveying will now ceremoniously mark the commencement of IRC 2022.
අවසරයි බෝ උතුම් ශ්‍රී ධර්මීතලයේ ඒකච්ඡත්‍ර කළා වූ නරේන්ද්‍ර සිංහ රාජෝත්තමයන්න් වහන්සේ සපත් වන වගයි. තක දොම් දොමිකිට නදිනන් මන්දල මකුඩම් සහ වයමින් නොබලා කුමුකුම් හඬසක් කමකින් පසතුරු ගඳකුම් වැඩි දැඩි වැඩි හැරලා මුදලම් කරමින කියන් හැමවල් දුකවන් මුළු උබලා දෙරිකුම් විකුම් ඇති රජෙකි මනා
Thank you for your mesmerizing performance. Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you all again to the plenary session of Faculty of Built Environment and Spatial Sciences, based on the theme Reinvigorating Sustainability Towards Instigating National Development. This session will be chaired by Professor Chitra Weddikkara, Emeritus Professor of University of Moratuwa. She is a renowned chartered architect, chartered quantity surveyor, and a project manager. Now, I cordially invite the rapporteur of the session, Mr. P.D.D.D. Vikramasinghe, to introduce the session chair.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Let me have the honor of introducing the chairperson of this plenary session, Emeritus Professor Chitra Weddikkara. Professor Chitra Weddikkara is one of the leading personalities in the Sri Lankan construction industry. She entails more than 40 years of experience, both in design and the construction industry in national and international context. Her professional experience spans across the fields of architecture, quantity surveying, international construction management, dispute resolution, construction auditing, loophole engineering, risk management, value management, project management, claims preparation and management. Further, she works as an arbitrator and adjudicator for National Procurement Commission of Sri Lanka. Professor Weddikkara is also the incumbent Dean of the Colombo School of Construction Technology and also the Managing Director of QServe Private Limited, which is a global company with which she rendered a remarkable contribution to the construction sector. Professor Weddikkara's most notable service lies in a former tenure as Dean of the Faculty of Architecture in University of Moratuwa, where she was instrumental in establishing the Department of Building Economics. She also played a leading role in obtaining the accreditation from world professional bodies such as RICS, PAQS, AIQS for the academic programs of the department. Professor Weddikkara is a frequent guest speaker in international forums on construction in Europe, USA, Australia, and the Middle Eastern countries. She received the Eminent Award for Excellence in Architecture from the Construction Industry Development Authority and many more such awards for her exemplary service to the construction sector. Apart from her academic and professional expertise, Professor Weddikkara is also the President of Women in Construction Forum in Sri Lanka chapter. This forum was based on her idea to discuss the issues pertaining to women in the construction sector of Sri Lanka. Thus, her impeccable service to the construction industry is truly admirable. Now let me have the honor of inviting this esteemed academic to chair this session. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. First, let me thank the rector, Dr. Lakmal, and all the invited and special guests for having invited me for this plenary session. And I'm extremely pleased because I've always told Dr. Lakmal I will come, but I've never come here to Surya Vava. But I must say, hereafter, definitely I will come. And I also want to, before I start, I'm extremely pleased. Architecture students always have the glamour, the aesthetics, and everything. But to have my quantity surveying students dancing, I thought that was fantastic. So I'm very pleased, Rector and Dr. Lakmal, for giving that opportunity for the students of conserving. We always talk about mathematics and statistics and everything, that outlet to do some dancing and enjoy themselves. So I think it's fantastic, and I'm extremely proud to be here. To start this plenary session, when I read the theme, I thought it was really a fantastic theme, and I wanted to say a few things because as an academic, I also did some research, and I felt that I should read something before I let all the other speakers start. So let me please start my little thing about this conference. And I thought that this conference was totally going to be held here, but from Dr. Lakmal, I heard that part of it is in Ratmalana and part of it is here. But I thought it'll be nice to connect the two to everybody here, and then we start our own plenary session. So please bear with me, and I will say something on that. First, let me thank the Vice Chancellor, who is not here, but the Rector, the Dean of, the Dean, Dr. Lakmal, of the Faculty of Built Environment, and spatial sciences. First, when you said FBSS, I was wondering what this was. And then I asked someone, and then they told me it's Faculty of Built Environment and Spatial Sciences. All faculty members and the students of the General Sir John Kothalavala Defence University, all invited panelists, fellow academics, ladies and gentlemen, for having invited me to chair KDU IRC 2022 plenary session. I'm very intrigued in the selection of the main topic, because a topic in current context is very timely selection. Before I dwell in our topic of this session, I thought I will say a few words about the main theme of economic revival, national security, sustainability, and how these are related to the advancement of science and technology. Rapporteur, can I have few time? Thank you. Okay. I quote from an article published by the Croatian Defense Academy on national security and its relationship to sustainability. And it states that the notion of security of the state has changed significantly in the post-Cold War era. During this period, the concept of security has gradually become much more multifaceted and complex, and it currently includes more variables than scholars of international relations used in the greater part of 20th century. Consequently, external factors and trends that shape the contemporary global security environment are not the only forces that affect security of state. The world in general has changed significantly over the past 50 years, and pace of change in the past decades is unmatched in history. Factors such as population growth, scarcity of resources, energy, security, climate change, combined with rapid cultural, social, and technological changes have affected all these, bringing additional variables in the equation of the state security. Therefore, it states that its framework should be much broader. And if further proposal that sustainability perspective has been the most suitable application of the concept of extended sectors of security, introduced by the Copenhagen School, and it encompasses three mutually interacting complex systems, namely social, economic, and environment. And these represent the new sectors of security. Excuse me. The current concept of national security. I hope these concepts will be discussed in length in this area and develop some more suitable for our country. Mine is only being a suggestion. Now to come to the concept or the theme for today's session, towards instigating national development. Demographic, economic, and environmental issues, including climate change events, aging population, growing urban-rural disparity, and the COVID-19 pandemic contributes to vulnerabilities in sustaining our environment. In my research for this topic, I would like to commence by quoting an expert from Committee for Development Policy report on the 18th session of the Economic and Social Council in 2013, September, supplement number 13. It states that the science, technology, and innovation play a critical role in achieving sustainable development goals, including enhancing productivity and inducing a dynamic transformation of the economy, increasing growth rates and the number of decent jobs while reducing fossil-based energy consumptions, developing essential drugs, and improving health, medical care, achieving food security through sustainable agricultural methods, and raising agricultural productivity are part of this theme. Advancing a nation's capacity in science and technology and innovation and its effective application in economic activities are essential factors for expanding people's capabilities and achieving sustainable development. At the same time, Science, technology, and innovation form part of the global and national capabilities to address the economic, social, and environmental dimensions of development in a nation. Science and technology and innovation are essential in finding answers to the sustainability crisis that the world and even us are currently facing. There is a need to look at the broader context and consider both the cultural, the historical dimension in which science, technology, and innovation can operate. It is crucial to recognize the world is confronting common crises, but there are differences within and between the countries. In this regard, the contribution of science, technology, and innovation to a new sustainable development paradigm require a deep understanding of the relation among the three pillars of sustainable development, such as acknowledging that environmental degradation, human economic development, and human well-being. The science and technology and innovation capabilities of a nation are basic, yet crucial factors, not only for sustained economic growth, but also for a nation's ability to provide to citizens with quality education, good health, care, and safe food, and to mitigate the negative impacts of climate change and natural disasters. Therefore, the role of the government development is, in essence, an important process of capacity building, and as a developing country confronts many obstacles, it is essential to develop a robust and entrepreneurial dynamic private sector. One advantage as well as disadvantage in developing countries like ours is using technology only after it has become an industrial standard, which also implies that they can adapt these existing mature technology. This is known as the latecomer effect. There is a need to install minimum safeguard public interest by ensuring transparency, licensing, and allowing the use of these. Therefore, my dear people, it is important to determine the state of and comparatively analyze the investment in R&D area to evaluate the R&D projects portfolio adequately. Therefore, the first step to clarify process that can be prioritized and their projects according to identified national development. And today, I think this theme is very timely, and this just a little outline so that our panelists can take it through and we have a very successful panel discussion. Thank you very much. Then the speaker one is a very good friend of mine, Professor Lalith Silva. Emeritus Professor of Department of Build Economics, Faculty of Architecture, University of Moratuwa, Sri Lanka. Former Dean of the Faculty of Architecture, University of Moratuwa. Has over 25 years of experience as an academic and 39 years of experience as a professional. He is the principal architect and proprietor of Habitat Chartered Architects and Engineers of Sri Lanka, a corporate member of the Royal Institute of British Architects, and holds a fellow membership in the Sri Lanka Institute of Architects. Has received many distinguished awards, including the Outstanding Research Personnel Award of the University of Moratuwa and the Highly Commended Paper Award at the World Construction Symposium. Has published his research work in over 40 journals and conferences worldwide. May I invite Professor Lalith Silva to come to the panel now. And Lalith, you'll have 20 minutes to say about the theme. Thank you.
Surya and my very good friend, Dean of the Faculty, Dr. Lakmal, and other senior officers from the armed forces, faculty members, students, and other invitees from the professions of architecture, quantity surveyors, and surveying. privileged to be here to share my thoughts with you, and I am thankful to the organizing committee, Dr. Lakmal and Nuan, for inviting me to share this occasion. Now, because I am given only 20 minutes, I was told only 15 minutes. Now, okay, she has given me 5 minutes extra as my friend. Now, you know already we have discussed, Chitra has given a very intricate discussion about the national security and the sustainable development. So my topic is going to be revitalizing the debt structure as a strategy for economic sustainability integrated with economic and social sustainability. And strategic analysis and roadmap for trade and industries in Sri Lanka to instigate sustainable national development. And sustainable development is defined by the UN Convention in 2015, and Sri Lanka is a signatory for that. And it is expected that Sri Lanka shall uphold the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And there are 3 aspects of sustainability, which is presented in the next slide. And there are KPIs relevant to each aspect. So it is essential to strive a balance between these 3 aspects of economic, environment and social sustainability for instigating strategic national development. I say strategic national development. We can have development, but it should be strategy. So these are from this classification from some of our research. So under environmental sustainability, we have to protect vegetation and biodiversity, stop indefensible withdrawal of natural resources, prevent air pollution, prevent water contamination, avoid soil erosion, stop coastal and marine pollution and degradation, protect habitation, stop excessive misuse of contamination of land, control litter disposal, control noise disturbance and vibration, protect sites and material or heritage significance, optimize energy conservation, avoid the risk of heat and pollution. And then on economic sustainability, which I have put in the center, because without economic sustainability we can't do anything. And among them, most important for the people is affordable living, housing, lower unemployment, growth of national economy and GDP, zero trade balances in the GNP, low whole life cost of our buildings, fertile value engineering for development projects, low capital versus revenue. Then social sustainability, freedom for speech and movement, food security, health and safety protection, compulsory and voluntary savings, access to education, comfortable life and for all citizens, avoid disturbance to others, not harmful for human health, improve quality of human life, and all stakeholders in the whole life cycle are respected and treated equally. No one is left behind. So these 3 sectors are very important. Now, what is the crisis? The outlook for future of Sri Lanka leave aside our industries, is very uncertain, even at the moment, due to colossal debt trap of the national economy. You all know this. It is 120% of the GDP. Out of this 120% of GDP, 40%, 60% domestic and 40% foreign component, and in dollars. The crisis further aggravated due to a delay in debt restructuring. Now, we have been having discussions with the IMF for the last 2-3 months. Not yet any results are given. Why is this? There was no honest attempt by the political camps and the government officers in authority. And you remember about three or 4 months before, central bank declared the negative growth in the GNP and declared our inability to debt sustain, debt repayment, and cease on development financing. So there's a crisis, and we get update on TV and mass media every day, and we are asked to find solutions. And in the recent past, we saw this. We have the tallest communication tower in Asia, but around that we have the longest fuel queue. And on the other side, we saw a lot of unrest and misbehavior of people, public, because of the shortages and some of the incidents and quarrels between the police and the general public. Should we celebrate this as a nation who experienced the fate of the mankind and the fate of vehicles on the day when the world ran out of fossil fuel? How can we win this? We can win this if we are united and determined. We recently won the Asia Cup, our cricket team. That is because there was social justice. Anybody who has the ability could join the team, irrespective of the social background, economic background, because of the free education and the just society. And we experienced this. In the queues, the children were not able to go to school. They were in the queues doing their homework on their three-wheelers. Now, I was going through the abstract of the publication of the conference. There are a lot of good research, just glance through, and these are related to sustainable design and construction, embedded energy. We have done this research, net zero carbon emission, green buildings, all sorts of things. Because my time is limited, I am not going to read all that, right? All this research, will they give any result if we are in economic trouble? If we are not able to handle our economy? And this is the crisis. Now for importation of fuel, we need 300 million to 400 million a month. For gas, we need about 200 million a month. For medicine, we need about 100 million a month. Food, we need 75 million a month. Likewise, we need about $8,000 million a year just to import our requirements. This is without adding any repayment of debts, foreign debts. Leave aside the local debts. So what? We have three options. We can borrow money. This is what we are doing now. Will that solve the problem? Recover so-called stolen wealth if it exists somewhere. The third one is work hard and earn money, like a private business. In our personal life, if we want money, we work hard and earn money, right? So even for a nation, it is the principle. Now, these are some of the central bank statistics. Our GDP, 85 billion a year. Population growth, 160,000 people every year is added to population. So we need houses, schools, universities, employment, clothing, medicine for 160,000 new people, new persons come into the society, add in. So annual index, if you take from 2008, it is 6 times increased. Central bank publications. In 2008, it was 3,653. In 2021, it was 6,746. When the base year was 2000. And this is alarming. Our balance of payment. In 2019, our balance of payment deficit was 2 billion. In 21, 6 billion. 22, 4 billion. In 22, 6 billion. So all been added up. And now we are ended at 120 billion. So where is the economic sustainability? So external debts, as I told you, $59 billion as a sum, and as a result, because our debt is increasing, in 2020 our US dollar was around 200, in 21 it came to about 230, now it is 360 upward. So the moment the exchange rate goes up, our difficulties are more because the repayment we earn in rupees and repay in dollars. So this is again the fiscal operation. So our debt ratio is 12.2 in 2021 and 2022. We still don't know, we have not calculated. Right. As a result, now it is changing. Originally I told you the domestic component was 60% and foreign component was 40%. Now it is turning the other way and it is becoming 60% foreign component and 40% local component because the fluctuation in real term. So our crisis is a currency crisis. So though we have social sustainability, to have social sustainability and environmental sustainability, we should have economic sustainability. Without that balance, we cannot achieve that. So why this crisis? Are we poor? No. We have enough assets, natural resources, fixed capital. Look at the cars on the road. But we are in a trap, debt trap. So how does the government correct currency? By way of tax, levies and charges when you import. And borrow money from loan from foreign sources and collect all that repay. So it is now becoming very hard us to repay without restructuring. If you ask a person, any individual, have they ever evaded their electricity bill? Have they ever evaded their water bill, grocery bills, fuel bills? No. We all have paid. Where does the money goes? If you ask, Petroleum Corporation is at a loss, running at a loss. Electricity Board is running at a loss. But we have paid, right? And we have paid taxes. So, still, we have been running all our institute at a loss. So therefore, we have headed for this financial crisis, so currency crisis. So monetary approaches for solving this problem is the only way. So Sri Lanka is currently trying to negotiate International Monetary Fund to renegotiate and stabilize the repayment and economic situation. Many international banks such as HSBC has come forward. Some foreign countries have come forward. Bangladesh, India, Australia, USA. And friendly nations are given relief grants in terms of medicine, fuel and so on. So this is the TO argument by the World Bank. The World Bank asks us, until an adequate macroeconomic policy framework is in place, the World Bank does not plan to offer new financing to Sri Lanka. This requires deep structural reforms and focus on economic stabilization and also on addressing the root structural causes that created this crisis. So at the moment, Sri Lanka is under bailout talks with the International Monetary Fund, but officially it's only official agreement at the level of officials, not at the board level. So what is debt restructuring? There are three types of borrowing. Multilateral debt resettlement is possible. So they have to negotiate. Private debts like Sri Lanka Insurance, Employment Provident Fund, those are not possible because if you restructure that, the banks has to be closed. All the people, local people whose money in deposits will be at a severe disadvantage. And bilateral debt settlement, so deep cuts are not possible. Anyway, they have to renegotiate. So Sri Lanka has to present a roadmap of development and repayment plan to restructure and secure the relief funding and receive further loans to activate the economy again. So our challenges are macroeconomic, our challenges are social, our challenges are political, our challenges are institutional, banking sector.
Lalith, you have only 1 more minute, okay?
1 more minute, yeah. Okay, so I'm not going to read all this, maybe at a discussion. So this is construction industry, which is the barometer of the economy. Now we all know who are connected to the construction industry, there's no work, there's no new work, only closing accounts. So we have done some surveys, talking to people about 100,000 respondents, derived at short-term solutions, 2 to 7 months, and mid-term solutions. So there are sectors, agriculture, education, then you get mineral and manufacturing, like what they have done, sectorial economies of the Sri Lanka national economy. So all these sectors has to be rethink scientifically, research, and then find new industries and find investment for those things to promote exports. I will give you one example. Like coconut industry, coir industry. There is a science called nanotechnology. We have not developed any products out of nanotechnology on coir products. So the entire table explains those things. If I say indigenous medicine, I'm taking the last one. Indigenous medicine heritage, the last, the last before the, one before the last. Establish indigenous medicine research and innovations. Because there's a lot of prospects, because there are a lot of tourists coming for indigenous medicine treatments. Link the above treatment with tourist resorts and serve world community. Entertainment industry, export music and dance shows for cultural products, export. Art and artifacts, film industry. India is making a lot of money from film industry. We are not. Like stage play, teledrama. Aviation sector, I'm going from this side. Integrate Matala, Mahindarajapaksa Airport at Hambantota Harbour as a free trade zone. Capture new silk route at Hambantota. Refueling ships off sea at Hambantota pumping station. So those are the things that we have not tapped. The next one, power and energy, LNG, low carbon solutions industries, contribution to gas tech, hydrogen, solar power and wind power, geothermal power. The next column, transportation sector, optimization, MRT lines, Colombo metropolitan area, at least it was cancelled. Integrate MRT and rapid transport. Encourage public transport by giving user-friendly, convenient facility. Restructure CTB and Ceylon railway. Electrify it. Introduce sea transport, water transport. During the Portuguese period, there was water transport. We abandoned all that. You can promote water transport, sea transport between main cities, main harbour cities like Hambantota to Colombo. I think my time is over. Is it? So I just study this, and so like that all sectors we have given solutions. I will take for the last, for the defense. Reduce the number in 3 forces. I saw a chart. Our numbers are equal to, I think, India, or I just had that, if I remember, Malaysia or something like that. 3 forces and substitute with volunteer regiments. I remember when I was a schoolboy, there was volunteer forces. In case of emergency, they are mobilized, right? And employ them in government-sponsored industry from agri-based projects. I know they are doing it, but what I am saying is more organized way. Establish research and manufacturing units in forces to collaborate with engineering units of universities, right? I remember when I was in Moratuwa, we proposed a research and innovation zone. I think Sri Lanka Army was ready to start making small aircrafts. So like that, we should go for that. So I'm not asking you to start research on manufacturing guns and ammunitions, because that will be controversial. But things like that, right? We can do a lot of research in defense. So even the software Microsoft project was invented for the army by US Army, because these forces, their resources can be mobilized for research, innovation and manufacturing, and support the economic development, instigating the national development by having a balance between economic, social and environmental sustainability. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Lalith. Can I invite you to the table here? The QA session will be after all the panelists have presented, so that we'll have enough time to discuss each and every topic. And Professor Lalith is very, very timely in our situation today. And today, the next one is, speaker 2 is Chartered Quantity Surveyor GM Upul Shantha. He's a director of the Cost Management Services, as an authorized partner for Cubicos 5D BIM software and AutoCAD graphic soft products. He has a BSc in Conserving from Moratuwa, has done an MBA from Macquarie University in Sydney. He's an associate member of the Australian Institute of Conservators. He's a past president and the fellow member of Institute of Conservators, having more than 30 years in the profession, and currently is a member from IQSSL at the Construction Industry Development Board, and has a large work experience in Sri Lanka, Maldives and Australia. May I now invite Mr. Upul Shantha to deliver his presentation. Upul, you have 20 minutes. Don't go over, okay?
Good afternoon. Once Professor said 20 minutes, I think I can't do anything because she's my teacher, mentor, and long mother to me in my life. So today I thank KDU for giving me this opportunity to talk to you about sustainability. I know Professor Lalith Silva talked about the macro level economic crisis and the solutions for that. I know Professor has a lot of things to say within 20 minutes in the table given. But today, in my case, I'll be looking at the micro level situation to understand and tell my younger generation what we can do. I don't think I will say anything about what we can do. What I will try to do is give you some tools to think differently and how we should address this problem. The topic chosen by the organizers of the faculty is reinvigorating sustainability towards instigating national development. So I choose the similar topic. Boosting national development through sustainability. First of all, my aim today is not to give you a list of things we should do to boost the economy. I'm trying to ignite some thoughts in the young minds behind, in the audience, to get into solutions. I chose this path because last 30 years, our generation preach their solutions to you, and we fail the country. Today and tomorrow is yours, and the solution for the current issues must be from your generation and not from our generation. So you have to think, you have to speak. Let's analyze what is going around us. I just put two thinkers. One is Socrates and the other is John Dewey. Critical thinking goes back to 2,400 years at Socrates' times. In modern era, John Dewey started again. It is, you can see, it is ability of putting forth an open-minded inquiry. Ability of putting forth an open-minded inquiry. Our education is based on Western philosophy of Socrates and Plato. They taught us critical minds, critical thinking. But the underlying fact is the ability of putting forth an open-minded inquiry. The phrase open-minded lost in our way. Therefore, what happened? We are, from the day we born, we are in a preconceived ideas. If you set aside those things and think differently, we can say as open-minded. My urge for younger generation, think about open mind. There is another philosopher who has introduced lateral thinking to us, Edward de Bono. He has thought critical mind, critical analysis is different, and some problems cannot be solved. So he thought about lateral thinking. So lateral thinking is solving problems using indirect and creative approach via reasoning. That is not immediately obvious. So our friends from quantity surveying and architecture, they were taught a lot of other subjects. So because of they were taught in other subjects, other than quantity surveying and architecture, when they are practicing, they will be thinking laterally. I am a practicing quantity survey. Therefore, when I write something, my skills comes through. When I write something, immediately it will come to me from the perspective of law, perspective of construction technology, perspective of costing, perspective of quantity surveying, and project management. So we should think laterally, and that will help you to understand the world around you. So, introducing these two thinkers, I urge you to research, because the world library, internet is with you in your farms. Therefore, please research, Google it, and widen your knowledge other than what you learn in the university. So, from that onwards, let's understand the world around us. For that, I use systems theory. As Professor said, the world we can understand as a systems. And the Professor Lalith Silva also mentioned about this. So, we have economic system. In the economic system, what are the things happening around us? The inflation source. Inflation is going up. Because of the inflation going up, in the economic system, Federal Reserve and the central banks around the world are increasing their interest rates. Because of the interest rates are going up, the recession is coming. Everybody fears about that recession. Then there are supply chain issues and deglobalization. All these years, we were for globalization, and after pandemic, we are to deglobalize. There are many more. Then we have environmental system. Climate change, carbon accounting and emissions, sustainability, and natural disasters. Politically around us, what's happening? World powers are shifting. In 1700, the world power is Dutch. In 1800 and 1900, world powers are British. In 20th century, the world power is USA. Now it is shifting. So that shift will give us lot of issues and opportunities also. Then world players are getting aligned because of the shift, like India, USA, Japan, and Australia becoming an alliance as never before. So those will create us problems again, and also opportunities. There is a liberal nationalism is getting, liberal nationalism is there. Is even just maybe last week, Italian Prime Minister was a liberal nationalist. So that is also coming up in the world and political. So also there is a shift for decoupling from China, where manufacturing hub in the world was China. After COVID and after some of the supply chain issues, now the world wants to decouple from China and have their own manufacturing. That creates issues as well as opportunities for us. Technological front, you can have a digitalization, new technologies like artificial intelligence, robotics, embedded systems, virtual and augmented realities are coming huge. Autonomous transport must be a reality in next few years. Renewable energy and biotechnologies are coming. In social front, we have population increase, life expectancy increase, workplace dynamics are changing, online working, post-pandemic effects, security, food security, poverty and social injustice. Why I put this all systems? For you to understand how to analyze a complex world. If you have an issue, maybe not only these 5, you can have systems, you can identify the problem as systems and analyze and keep it with you and think through it, and then you can find a solution. So this is the world we are in. As Professor said, Professor Lalith Silva again mentioned about this. With this complex world situation, interwoven situation, the United Nations has come up with the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. When we talk about the original topic of the conference, we have to talk about all 17 sustainable goals. That's huge, this one. But while this 17 sustainable goals has one precondition, which is while tackling climate change and working to preserve our oceans and forests. That's the pretext. With that pretext, the Sri Lanka has agreed for these 17 sustainable goals. Let's see what's happening with that. I think video is not working, so I put the video in the middle because some might be sleeping, so get awake. But let's move because we have 20 minutes. So in 2019, world agreed to carbon emission targets to tackle the climate change, especially global warming. Sri Lanka agreed to reduce emissions 14.5% by 2030. How are we doing? Are we doing that? But let's see how the world is moving. World is moving towards more environmental sustainable, carbon neutral products, people and processes. Why I put people here? We find very passionate people around the world, passionate young people around the world for climate change actions. So we pick one system which is important for this topic, which is environmental subsystem. How the world is doing. So the world has moved from polluted third industrial revolution. Initially, the world has smaller industries. Then it became bigger industries to gain economics of scale. And then it moves to create huge mega cities, population centers, and then move to service economies. And now again, they are going back to more greener, more sustainable living, trying to become carbon neutral by 2050. That means the world which is ahead us have moved from carbon pollution, polluted countries, towards the economy, towards improving the economy, and finally moving back. Maybe we are in the same situation, but whether... So when the world is moving in that direction, how we are doing? I think this... So, as Professor Lalith Silva said, we don't have foreign currency, so we reduce imports. We have a high electricity cost, so whenever possible, we put solar roof or net metering. We have a food security, and the media started very huge commotion about food security, so everybody start growing vegetables at home. We have a high fertilizer cost. There is a huge commotion. We have to send the president out, former president out. But people start doing organic farming or reduction of chemicals for agriculture. Recently, I asked one of the farmer, how much should I eat your vegetables? He said, no problem now. Those days we put huge amount of fertilizer. Now we are putting little, so I can eat. So high cost of petroleum products. I am going for work only 3 days, 2 days at home. My kids are learning hybrid, 2 days in the uni and 3 days at work. So high cost of construction material for us. We have to use local available material. Can we use what we do now for our competitive advantage? We are forced to do this. Now we are sustainable than any other country. So, can we use what we are doing now for our advantage? Most of the Sri Lankans think how to get back to what we are doing in the last 30 years. Our engineers think how to build highways. Beg some money, get some money, and build highways. Our quantity surveyors think how to start other projects, what we have left. Our architects also thinks how to get projects and do what we have done all these years. Should we do that? Should we do that? That's the question I am posing my younger generation. Should we do what we have done for the last 30 years? Or get this opportunity and create our future for our country. So, initially I told you I will not give you an answer. I want you to give us an answer, and what I will do is we have players. Who are the stakeholders for national development? I put construction industry because national development is huge. For construction industry, who are the stakeholders? We have executives, policy workers, and regulators. They should do their part. Universities and educators. Universities, I can say little because of this forum. Universities should skill our younger generation for carbon accounting. Create the passion and the culture for caring the environment. Then they will design, then they will do the processes correctly for.
You have 1 minute.
So professionals have things to do. Banks, developers, and public media and the external environment has a lot to do. I need you to understand, you to write papers about each of these people, how should they do. I had a small example. We did a 50-room hotel at original design, international architect, fully fledged hotel. Even at 65% occupancy of rooms, IRR was below 8%. It was not feasible. Then the employee has changed everything. He's changed the concept, scattered building, eco-concept, use of local material, more blending into the gardens, revised design by local designers with natural mud bricks, elevated earth-filled ground floor wins the day. We are moving with the project. So that is one small example, I said. Even though this is a research conference, my last slide is a little bit controversial. I have a dream amid uncertainty. That is, in 50 years' time, that is 2072, Sri Lankan children will breathe natural air without a mask. They will eat fruits plucked by themselves from a tree on the side of the road when they are coming back from school. Drink natural water from a stream by the side of the road. That Sri Lanka will be the country like no other to live on. Let's begin. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Upul Shantha. I think it's a very wonderful presentation giving the young people about critical thinking. So we will have lots of questions during the QA time. My next presenter is Mr. S. Sivanantharajah. He's an additional Surveyor General from the Survey Department of Sri Lanka. He has a BSc First Class Honours in University of Peradeniya, MSc in Geoinformatics from ITC Netherlands, has been working in the Survey Department for the last 34 years, has worked part-time lecturing, delivering lectures to students following MSc in GIS and remote sensing at the University of Peradeniya and Sri Jayewardenepura, and has over 20 years of working experience in GIS and RS software, including ArcView, ArcGIS, and ERDS or ERDS. And his topic today is Sustainable Land Administration System for National Development. May I invite Mr. Sivanantharajah to the presentation.
Yes, good afternoon to everybody. First of all, thank you very much, Rector KDU Southern Campus, for giving a chance to have a lecture, and the Dean, Faculty of Business, the Faculty of Built Environment and Spatial Science, and thank you, Chairman, for introducing me. Thank you very much, and again, the time is not good also, as earlier speaker said, to show a video clip. And I am not going to show any video clip, but we will try to wake up with the young generations who are interested to having a plenary session. And this is mainly talking about the national development. And I will move on and try to keep my time also, as Chairman mentions, 20 minutes. We'll see, I will try to finish it before that. And the topic is mainly the sustainable natural development requires, we talk about the land administration because my background is again the survey department, as you mentioned, and it's again with the land administrations. And how this sustainable land administration can be implemented, and what are the issues in Sri Lanka, because these are the topics we want to just touch on, and that will be benefit to our young generation also. And as you mentioned that we have, as part of the world, we are starting with the land, and land is a part of Earth's surface and marked by the boundaries. And this is the issues normally for the boundaries. Even our cultures, people are get fighted for even 1 inch or 2 inches of boundary disputes. As you know, cases are going on for long many years, say 20 to 30 years, still fighting for the piece of land and even the boundary disputes. But the thing is, even that, the country is losing a lot of income on that one. And one of the issues is mainly that the land administration should be done in a systematic manner. And as part of that one, I think we will try to see land is important, and then how we can do the administration on that one is to determine the records and to recognize the land and the property rights. This is also important thing. And as you know, everybody having a land and have a deed like that. And there are a lot of issues on that. As you have the deeds, and you can, without the land also you can deeds, and there's a places where the land is in another place and you can have a deed and like that. Because with that one, I think we have come some systems of title and like that, but still that also having an initial stage. And when you look at this administration, and then we'll say how the system should come, because as you have in say there are different agencies in Sri Lanka working on different mandates are there. And land administration system is determine the infrastructures of the implementation of land policies and management to have a sustainable development. Therefore, as such, there are agencies, different institutions working on together. And this is also one of the most critical area, how you can administer the land administration system. And I will just focus on what are the issues on in the systems and what we can overcome on short-term solutions or the long-term solution for that one. Therefore, it linked with the sustainable development, as earlier speakers also talk about what is sustainable, and that is again the 17 goals are there. And sustainable development is the criteria for achieving the social and economic progress in the way of not to exhaust the finite resources, because a lot of resources we have in Sri Lanka, and we have to manage all these resources in a systematic manner. And when you talk about these sustainable development goals, as our previous speakers also mentioned, in 2015, after the long discussions of 3 years, and they have agreed to have these SDGs, and there are 17 SDGs defined for Sri Lanka, for the country, for the nations, and we have to adopt that one because these are the 17 sustainable goals. And how we can link with the sustainable goals with our current situation about this land development administrations. Therefore, they have people and planet and prosperity and peace and partnership. These are the sustainable development goals what we have. And how we can link it with the land administration is to have a better land use, and then to have a better land policy should be there. And then we must have some secured land tenure. That was one of the most important area. And then to have the increasing land values, because as you know, the demand is there because of this horizontal, the demand of resources are limited, and people are migrating to the rural to the urban areas, and there are demands are there. Therefore, we have the increasing of land values are there. And then the informations of integrating the geospatial informations, because the present trend of working with the information system to have a geospatial. Therefore, we need to have some geospatial informations for the decision making, because that's also one of the tools I think it has started or in other countries for the decision making. But when you practice in Sri Lanka, it is maybe very less using these tools to integrate it or the decision making. And then we have to have a sustainable land development. Therefore, this will be, in other words, giving an effective land administration system and that will benefit for the support for the sustainable development goals, because as you know that we have to have fulfilled these goals. And in order to support this one, these are the main areas where it is mostly interested also. And then, well, what are the challenges what we have? Because as you know, the effective land administration in Sri Lanka, because we have institutionally disjoint institutions are there, and then you can functionally fragmented, because even now it's political also like that. Even if you are assigning the ministries, they are fragmented, all these things. Therefore, there are a lot of fragmentations are there. And then the legally complicated, because the laws are there for long time laws, and it's not very effective. And there are geographically incompleted informations are there. Therefore, when you want to get a decision making, because these are things we are looking at the challenges in Sri Lanka. And we'll look at what are the institutionally, as you know, there are institutionally there are different institutions are working on together. And as such, we can say the Ministry of Lands and Land Development, or presently is tourism, and future may be different. But how it's working on the different ministries, and they are mainly formulating the plan policies. And there are other departments, like Survey Department is mainly the standardization products and surveying. And there are land settlement is there, Land Commissioner Department, Land Use Policy, Land Reform Commission, Register General, and valuations, Mahaveli, like that, Provincial Land Commissioners. There are institutionally, there are different organizations. But we don't have a one common system to work on as a land administration. Now, if you want to work on this one, we must have a platform to work. Therefore, we have to think of future, how we can integrate with different institutional information to have a basic platform. Therefore, it can be very useful for the decision making. And we are working with different pillars as we individual organizations working their own, and this is not integrated. Therefore, we have some issues how we are going to integrate all these things. And then there are different mandates of functionally fragmented, because there are some mandates for the ministries or departments. It may be the key roles and responsibilities are there. And there are some institutions working on supporting, and they are not the supporting role, and some their responsibilities are there. Therefore, the functions are actually fragmented also, because these also may be some, like the different long history of that one, the nature, how the departments are built up. And we have to rethink, as you know, that in future, how you can integrate all these things functionally, because we have horizontal integration is most important with the different institutions, because then only then we can have a sustainable development in the future. Therefore, these are some of the issues that we talk about, how these functionally fragmented. And then the legally complicated, because these are the issues with the legal side, where we have a long acts, the long history of acts are there, and some of these things is very complicated and inconsistent with the present situation as well. And if you want to have some of these transactions or anything, it takes long delays. Therefore, we will look at an example of how we look at an example of legally complicated. For example, if you want to get a state land to a person, so to giving a different agencies, there may be land development ordinance are there, or state land ordinance are there, and there are different options are there. Therefore, these things will take out for our years and years to have a facilitated. Therefore, legally it's complicated. Now, if you want to give a permit, so they have a long procedures are there, and it take time to have it long way of getting information. And if you want to give a grant, so annual permits, so special grants, there are long delays are there because of this legally complicated, and it again the time consuming for the decision making. Therefore, these things we have to think of how we can locally or improve it, restrictions to take out, and how you can improve this one in the practice. We'll look at an example what we are talk about this, how the state lands will work out. And if you go with the, like if you take a private land, as you know, if you want to get a private land to a state, and there's a big procedures on that one. Now when you want to take a, yeah, it's again special. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Now, when you talk about this private lands to the state lands, now you can see the big procedures. Now, if we come to the land acquisition, and actually it takes to have a long procedure to acquire land, it takes nearly 2 years to get acquired. And after that, it has to go with the state land ordinance to hand over the giving an outright to the NHTA or UDA or like that. Therefore, these are some of these legally complicated issues are there. When you want to practice these things, it takes at least 2 to 3 years to, if you get a land and you have to go to the NHDA and it has to go to the private sector, people get the deeds and all these things. These are the complicated issues are there. Therefore, we can look at these complications and we can go forward it. And that's the thing we have to think also in future, how you can make a way forward it. And as you know that long of backlogs are there because of these disputes of ownerships and partition cases are there, and this might give a long delay of processing of this information. And let's talk about this geographically incomplete information. As you know, because some of these informations are not completed over the area, and as you take Sri Lanka, we have seen some of the areas under the forest cover is already covered, and some of the area even we are not surveyed also because it's not mandated to have it, and there are a lot of areas it's unsurveyed. Therefore, we don't have any information. Another issue is mainly the no single platform to access the available data. That's also one of the issues because the different institutions, they have their own data sets, and they may be having the issues of integrating and having a one access or one standards. Therefore, they started with this national spatial data infrastructure, but that also started at the beginning, how you can integrate it. And other main issues is mainly the mechanism to bring the registered license surveyors information into a common platform. That also we are working nowadays to get, because annually there are a lot of surveys are done, and all these things are separate individually are maintaining. Therefore, we are working nowadays to how we can integrate it into a common platform and to get all these informations. Another important thing is all these information to be connected to a national reference system, because if you want to identify a particular land parcel, at any time, any point of time, we can able to re-establish these boundaries. Because that's why we want to have compulsory to integrate all these informations into a national reference system. Well, there is regulations and these things are nowadays formulating. Therefore, how this influences the economy, as you know, these investments are discouraged just due to the restrictions, because if you want to get foreign investors looking for a particular land for investment, there are a lot of procedures are there. They have to go different departments, get approval and all these things. Therefore, it's a big problem for the investors also. And the individual ownership of rights, as I mentioned earlier, for the ownership also it may be a lot of issues over there. And how we can look at these influences in a way forward, and we can think about the land management paradigm where it's involving especially the core idea behind the how we can integrate this information or cadastral information. That's one of the main areas we can talk about to integrate this land tenure, land value, and the land use and the land development. And these are the main 4 functional areas where we can integrate it, and that can be used for a decision making. There were these main 4 functions, as I mentioned earlier. This land tenure is the secured in the rights of natural resources, and the land value is valuation and taxation of the land, because this is also one of the ways where we can generate the income, because nowadays land values with that one, you cannot get any taxation purposes are there, because we don't have the information. Therefore, this is one of the sources where we can get income from the land value. Another one is the land use, how we are practicing the land use or planning and control of the use of natural resources. And then the national land development also, how we are using this particular infrastructure for construction and planning purposes. Therefore, in order to achieve these actions, what are the remedial actions we can look forward? And one of the area we have think of this cadastral survey. That is one of the area where we can survey all the land parcels, and started with the project also. It's called BIM Surveyor. And under this project, we are mainly focused on starting to survey all the land parcels whether it is a government lands or the private lands. And it can be have a cadastral system for the entire country in future that will be helpful for decision making of any of these lands based on the information pertaining to that. Therefore, to work on that one, we look about this identification of, as you know, cadastral is the main core of land administration system, and this is give the spatial integrity and the unique identification. That is one of the most important thing. And if you look at in this system, each parcel will be identified as a unique identifier. Therefore, whenever we surveyed a land parcel, it can be identified by the unique number, and it has similarly with the ID number. Therefore, unique parcel can be identified, and that's why nowadays we are planning of working with any licensed surveyors or anybody surveyed in future. There must be a unique identification should be there, and that should integrate with the national grid also. And that will be benefit because as the Surveyor General has the powers and he has the mandate to work on that one. Therefore, with this mandate, we will think of having a solution for that one. Therefore, there are two solutions we can propose it. One is the short term, how we can get a remedial actions with the short term period. Therefore, we can have a very basic information, as we call it, as a fabric level information or parcel fabric. That is one of the very basic one. Based on some imaginary or basic image, we can have a parcel sketch that can be used for a decision-making tool as like that. And the second stage will be as our long-term one, where we can go for a cadastral, because if we want to survey, it take another 20, 30 years to complete the entire country. Therefore, as a short-term one, we plan to have it working on the very basic one. With the short-term, is called create a parcel fabric. And nowadays we are working off nearly we have completed around 2 million parcels are completed in the in-house, and there are another 3.5 million planning to complete also. Therefore, we can have a basic fundamental layers as a basic fabric. And based on that one, and in future there's a long-term solution, we can have all the survey plans and all the other survey data can be as a numeric system. And each of these parcels will be identified by 18-digit number. Therefore, each parcel will be identified as 18-digit number, and that one can be linked to any of these parcels. Therefore, it can be directly linked with the parcel, and that can be used as a decision-making tool for any future. And yeah, sure. I will try to finish it. Try this. And long-term solution, as I mentioned, we can have a digitize and harmonize all these information and into have a very sophisticated numeric databases like that. Therefore, finally, we can look about the what is the remedial actions. So, defining the deliberating to solving the administrative boundary disputes, because that's all some of the issues are there still, and introducing the new policies, and then objective to action plan establishing the quality and land administrations, and digitize and harmonize the land registers and cadastral maps to as a core element for land administration. And then you have to establish comprehensive land database with the stakeholders, because that is one of the areas we have to have it as a roadmap for the future, and complete the comprehensive land registers, cadastral systems, and it can be as a reforms to regulatory improve the quality, clarity and sustainability of the land administration system in Sri Lanka. So therefore, this is how we just focusing on how the roadmap to the sustainable land administration. And with the thinking of in future, we may have go forward in near future to have a sustainable land administration. Right, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mrs. Sivanantharajah. That was a very interesting presentation. I have a few questions for you later on. We will go to our next presenter, Professor Saman TWS Yapa. He's a professor of Department of Decision Sciences, Faculty of Management Studies and Commerce, University of Sri Jayewardenepura. He has a BSc Special in Industrial Management from University of Kelaniya, an MBA from the Postgraduate Institute of Management at University of Sri Jayewardenepura, PhD from the Material and Engineering Research Institute, Sheffield Hallam University in United Kingdom, and is a Director and Staff Development Center, University of Sri Jayewardenepura, and teaching areas include operations management, business, mathematics, statistics, and research methods. And his presentation today is namely Make STEM, S-T-E-M. I'm not sure what STEM is, Professor Yapa. Professor Yapa, you might have to explain to me too. Make STEM graduates the future innovators. May I invite you now? Thank you.
Madam Chairperson, Director, Dean, other distinguished invitees, and the participants. Thank you very much for the organizing committee to invite me for this conference. And being a science graduate from University of California and also not an innovator, so I thought of discussing how to make STEM graduates the future innovators. I'll explain what is STEM later. When you look at when you discuss about the development, scholars have identified 3 levels of technology in to compete with nations to develop. First one is a factor driven, secondly efficiency driven, and thirdly the technology driven. I think you all will agree, probably Sri Lanka is in the beginning of the second level, efficiency driven. Probably we have passed the factor driven, but definitely not in the technology driven. We have a long jump from the early second level to the third level. So we are in the early second stage. So there is a long jump. And what is the role of universities in making this jump? We have to make the higher education a vital engine for development and the promotion of shared prosperity. Government is spending a lot of money for higher education, so we have to make the higher education a vital engine for the development. Then, secondly, we have to increase the proportion of students enrolled in STEM courses: science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. It is vitally important for the economic development. This may be a little bit old figures, but not much of a difference even today. 13% in sciences and 7% in engineering, may be a little bit higher now. Then, thirdly, the supply of qualified academic staff still maybe 40% are not PhD qualified. It is much better than earlier when I joined the University of Sri Jayewardenepura management faculty. There are only 1 PhD at that time. Now we have about close to 100 PhDs. But we took 30 years to come to that target. It's a long time. And recently we wanted to get accreditation for our degree programs, AACSB for management. But unfortunately, one of the barriers was we didn't have enough PhD holders in our, the ratio of PhD holders in our faculty. Then modernized university teaching and lecturing in line with the international practices. And the last one is increase the research and innovation outcomes of Sri Lankan universities. So as I mentioned earlier, STEM is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. The problem is, do the STEM-related faculties in Sri Lanka produce future innovators? Do we make them prepare to become innovators in the future? And whether the researchers in STEM-related faculties are inventors or innovators. Most of our faculty members, the university, science faculties, engineering faculties, they have patents, but whether these patents have really come to the industry, have they become something material, will they bring back money to the universities? That is the issue. Probably you may have not familiar with these two phases, but definitely you are familiar with the second name, Thomas Alva Edison. But Tesla he became popular because of the cars produced now. But it is told that the best inventor of the world was Tesla. But unfortunately, at his death, he was penniless. But one time his boss, Thomas Alva Edison, he was a multi-millionaire in that time. Why? Even though Tesla was a very bright inventor, why he died penniless? It is told that Tesla could design complex systems in his imagination and could put on amazing demonstration of the power of electricity. His downfall was an inability to convert ideas into business plans. Today, Americans consider Thomas Alva Edison as an icon of innovation. He is considered as an inventor of innovation. Really, he was a businessman. And Edison was not an inventor of technology, but the inventor of modern innovation. So are we producing Teslas or the Edisons? What is innovation is a process by which technological ideas are generated, developed and transformed into new business products, processes and services that are used to make a profit and establish marketplace advantage. If you take many innovations, they have not invented new thing. Like Henry Ford, he completely revolutionized the motor car industry or the market also by adapting mass production into car production. Cars were there, but he completely changed the way the cars were produced. Google, Facebook, iPhone, everything, they are new innovations, but they were not new inventions. They used the technology better. The difference between the invention and the innovation is invention is a novel product, device, process or concept, but innovation is the introduction of a newer and better solution that meet new requirements or existing market needs. So they have to work with the business. They have to work with the market needs. Require technical knowledge, competence, knowledge about market needs as well. Not only the technical knowledge, but also market needs. Trends and financial support. Not the financial aid, financial support. You can come up with some inventions with the financial aid, but we need is a financial support. If you look at the most innovative companies in the world, according to the Forbes magazine, all of them are technology-based companies, and you can see there are two Indian companies are also there, Hindustan Unilever and Bharat Heavy Electricals. There are two Indian companies, others are mainly Americans, but the fourth one is a Chinese one, I think. If you look at these leaders, Jeff Bezos, Tim Cook, John Welch, all these are from technical, all these were having technical degrees or the engineering degrees. They are now not famous as innovators, but as good managers. Then when you look at Satya Nadella, then Sundar Pichai and Carlos Ghosn, he's a he's a fugitive now, but still all of them are from engineering background. And we have to notice that both, even though he's a CEO of Microsoft and CEO of Google, both of them have the first degrees from Indian universities. Now they have become the CEOs of the biggest innovative companies in the world. 10, 15 years back, there was a trend to make marketing people, accounting people to the CEOs of the big technology companies. One time, Apple was headed by the former CEO of Pepsi-Cola. But now the things are getting changed. Those who are having engineering degrees, technical degrees, science degrees, becoming CEOs in big companies. So, are we ready for that one? Some other examples like Mukesh Ambani, Larry Page, even Ratan Tata is he has a first degree from in architecture from Cornell University. Then I have seen some video in developing the nano car. Ratan Tata, he doodled these sketches and he showed this engineers. That is how we have to produce the nano car. Especially the STEM graduates can play a major role in 2 areas of innovation out of the 5: generation of new or improved products and introduction of new production processes. What you have to, our challenge is to make the technical person to an innovator to an innovation manager. Now in the organizations, there are innovation managers, chief innovation officer. So can we make our technical graduates the innovation managers? That is our challenge. The person is in charge of directing and managing the company's innovation. Management of innovation is linking engineering, science and management discipline to plan, develop and implement technological capabilities to shape and accomplish the organization's strategic and operational objectives. So it is something management as well. A person joins to the research and development as a first line manager, technical manager, one day may become a CEO or chief innovation officer. Do we make them ready for that role? Our graduates. The management is not doing by ourselves, but how do we get work done from others? That is an art. So there are many definitions, but I like the second definition, the act of getting things done through people. That can we get the things done from other people? That is our management capability. All managers, wherever they work, they must have 3 levels of skills in different levels, in different managerial levels: technical skills, human skills, and conceptual skills. We give them we give the graduates the technical skills. Probably they may perform better in the lower level because of their technical skills, but wherever they work, they must have good human skills. They should be able to work with people. Then they should have the conceptual skills, may not be at the lowest level, but when they go up in the ladder, they should be able to see the whole organization. And they should be able to see not only the tree, but also the forest. So do we give or do we prepare our technical graduates to become to that level? Then when you look at the skills of an innovator, there are certain personal characteristics. Like they should be able to see the big picture. There is an ambiguity in decision making. He must be a daydreamer. Then there are a lot of personal characteristics: positive attitude, enjoyment, focus, risk tolerance, trend setting, things like that. Motivation. Then other personal characteristics like flexibility, adaptability, and the open mind as well. And value contribution to the society. Work independently, assertiveness, competitiveness, knowledge of social media, things like that. Then what are the personal skills? Leadership, emotional intelligence, non-verbal communication, empathy, understand other people. Then they should be able to delegate. So we like to do it by ourselves. That is not the concept. We should be able to get the work things done from the other people. Delegation. Then interpersonal skills, very important. Team building, collaboration, networking, able to ask the help from other people, resourcefulness, mentoring, give back to the society. These are the interpersonal skills. Then critical and creative thinking, deal with ambiguity, comfort with confusion, because we are not working in an ideal world. There are a lot of ambiguities, lot of risks. Can you work with confusion? Identify the trends, systems thinking, etc. Then think outside the box. Other speakers also have mentioned this. Then intuition. Sometimes you have to have some gut feeling. This is what is going to happen. And modeling concepts. Can we make the models? Prototyping and things like that. And practical skills like management resources, time, money, etc., lifelong learning. Then why this transformation is challenging? The left-hand side, we find our technical graduates, they their skills and the characteristics like they are logical, analytical, work with materials, decision under certainty, autonomous, work personally, and they have the knowledge. But when you look at the innovators, their characteristics are imaginative, work with people, not with material, decisions under uncertainty, not under certainty, interdependent, direct others to get the work done. Rather than having the knowledge, they must have the wisdom. Our graduates have knowledge, but probably they may not have the wisdom. When they go up in the ladder, not the brightest, but the wisest will be more effective. We train especially our STEM graduates to use their left brain, like numbers, analytical thinking, logic, and things like that. But the innovators, they must have emotional intelligence, imagination, creativity, mostly go with the right side of the brain. So it is a challenging task. As I mentioned earlier, in the career ladder at the bottom, the brightest may perform well. Their competence will help them to perform better in the lowest level. But when they go up in the ladder, wisest will more effective. And how comfort they are with the working with people will make the difference. Personality of the STEM graduates, I'm not going to read all, but they like science and technology, they like logic and examine ideas, train for problem solving like that. Then they want to help solve the world's problem. They may have poor social skills and insensitive to the feelings of others, can be impersonal, reserved, and introvert. Now, what we have to do? Now, there is a new term coming up into the scene called STEAM. Science, technology, engineering, plus arts and mathematics as well. It doesn't mean that arts faculty is also added into this one. The meaning is that group of learners working collaboratively to create a visually appealing product or object that is based on the understanding of a STEM concept. So I can share with you one personal experience. When I did my PhD, I joined the School of Engineering, Sheffield Hallam University. But after a few years, I think that is mainly because of the cost reasons, they created a faculty called Faculty of Arts, Computing, Science and Engineering, Faculty of ACES. So under one dean, and they gave golden handshake for many people. One of the arguments they said was, there is no art without the technology. Now the technology and arts work together. So they put all together and completely closed one school and brought everything into one place, and it was called ACES. So likewise, now they are talking about putting arts also into the STEM education, like the madam said that QS students are performing dance in something like that, probably. But what is unfortunate is our STEM graduates are going to become managers in the banks and wherever, some other places. So why are I spending a lot of public money if you want to make an engineer to become a branch manager? So we are producing enough management graduates for that one. Today, the tendency is for management graduates also to looking for, the engineering graduate is also looking for management jobs in banks or in other places. So what universities can do? These are some of the thoughts or what we can learn from other best practices. Creation of a culture appreciates the importance of interdisciplinary, problem-oriented education and research within the university. So normally our thinking pattern is we like to work in silos or compartmentalize. Like in our university, one example is recently we started a faculty called Urban and Aquatic Bioresources. So even it is, I don't know why when there is a faculty of Applied Sciences, we have another faculty called more narrow area. So we are going into more narrow areas rather than going into more broad areas. So that may be the thinking of our universities. We like to say that it is our faculty, it is our department, we have like boundaries, even more than the lands, we like to have boundaries in our, so we own that particular area. No one can question about that one, but that should change. We must have interdisciplinary, because real-time problems, they don't come like chemistry problems, physics problems like that. So we have to use the whole knowledge. Interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary or holistic approaches in STEM courses, rather than compartmentalized approach. More courses in management, marketing and economics can be introduced into STEM programs. Collaboration between the business and academic units. Business, rather than trying to produce something by our own, can we work with the business world to produce something that is needed by the people? Then encourage cross-disciplinary teamwork, collaborating between STEM faculties and the management faculties in the universities. So we can work together. They can give the technical inputs, we can give the business inputs, and we can come up with some good products or processes.
Professor, we have one minute.
Yeah. More non-technical soft skills, and there is another strategy we can take, recruitment of retired technology managers into the STEM faculties. So they have a good idea about the problems in the industry, then we can get their service. Introduction of masters, executive masters, short courses, seminars in the areas such as management and technology and entrepreneurship and innovation into STEM students. So that's all I have to say. And finally, I like to ask you to watch a good film called Padman. So that was very popular in Sri Lanka during the last election also. It is a very good film about the innovation. So probably that's why Indian universities are doing better. Indians are doing better than us. Like Three Idiots, Padman, they are the movies that promote in the innovation and the entrepreneurship. Thank you very much for your listening.
Thank you very much, Professor Yapa. That was a very interesting presentation for our young graduates about STEM development, that is science, technology, engineering, and management. I'm very happy now that into the STEM there is an arts area also coming in, so that we Conti-Surveyors and architects also can join in hand and become multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary faculties. So thank you so much. We'll have many more questions on that. I'm very intrigued on that. The next presenter is joining us from Thailand, and we would like to very welcome you, Professor Nitin Kumar Tripathi from School of Engineering and Technology, Asian Institute of Technology, Thailand. I'm sure Asian Technology of Thailand is very familiar to Sri Lanka because many of our students have gone there to do a master's and postgraduate and things like that. So, Professor, to give you a very brief bio of Professor, he is from Asian Institute, Thailand. His PhD is in remote sensing and GIS from the Indian Institute of Technology. He has over 32 years of experience as a university academic. Teaching areas are remote sensing, GIS, advanced application development, health GIS, disaster management use in remote sensing and GIS, advanced spatial analysis methods, and he has been invited for over 40 keynote addresses and over 200 publications and received more than 10 awards. May I welcome you, Professor, to deliver your presentation from Thailand.
Thank you.
I hope that we will not have any technology issues. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be part of this international conference in KDU, and this is a research conference, I think 15th. So congratulations to all the delegates. And I would like to say that my presentation is going to be a little different. I was listening very thought-provoking presentations by the plenary speakers. I'm going to talk about livability city index, how to improve the livability of our cities. So I'd like to share my PowerPoint. So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to talk about how to improve the livability of our cities, why certain part of the cities are highly livable and very expensive than other parts of the cities, and how we can have a quantitative assessment of this livability. So this is a work done by my PhD student, and later on some more students have worked on different cities. So this is, I'm going to talk, and I have used extensively GIS and remote sensing into this. Nowadays, earlier when I was studying in my high school, we studied that 30% population lives in the cities and 70% live in the villages. But now it is other way around. Almost 68% are living in the urban areas and cities, and only less than 30% around 30% in the villages. So there is a huge population influx into the urban areas, plus population increase is also there. Human activities have increased, more opportunities are in the cities, and therefore all the city development is going uncontrolled and without sufficient planning. Planning may be there, but sometimes race for development overtakes that one. So these are causing limited resources of the land, and then how to make our cities livable. So we have Mercer Index that they survey the world, and 450 cities of the world were surveyed, and we found that Hyderabad and Pune in India are around 143 rank out of 450 cities, and then Delhi, our capital, this should be much higher, but it is at 162. So lot of plans are there, lot of development initiatives are there, but we are ranking very low into the livability. Why it is so? And then we have to think about it. Then Economic Intelligence Unit 2022, they have surveyed 173 cities ranked, and Delhi is at 141. So it is quite low. Even the Bangkok in the EU ranking, Economic Intelligence Unit ranking, it is at 98 number, and they were very sad. I was in one of the seminars with the mayor of Bangkok. He was very sad because 90th rank into livability, but almost number one in the tourism. So he was telling that we have to do a lot to improve the conditions of our Bangkok, especially the traffic and other things. So in this study, we have studied about Khon Kaen city. Khon Kaen, if you have come to Thailand, then it is in the northeast, one of the major gateway to Indochina, and it is connecting like India, Myanmar, and then Thailand, then Vietnam, Laos, Vietnam. So it is going to be a very nice route, and the highway, everything is done. Only thing is a little problem in the visa and immigration thing, and then it may open. So I'm also waiting. So we have done this study for Khon Kaen so that we can see that when the city will rapidly grow, what people should keep in mind to make it still livable. And Khon Kaen is also designated as a smart city in Thailand. So whenever we talk about the countries, they talk about GDP or gross national product, but both the things are never telling about the livability of the city. They may tell about the economy, but never tell about how the cities are livable. They may pump a lot of money into the cities for development of road and other infrastructure, but whether the people are happy and they want to live in every part of the city, it doesn't reflect that. So GDP and GNP may be economic indicators. Then there are Human Development Index, a simple average of 3 indices: health and longevity, education and living standards. That reflects a country's achievement. So all these things are, so when the Mercer, if you take into account, there are 39 factors. and then they take the data about these factors and they come out with the index. So based on these things, we have come out to develop our own livability city index, learning from the Mercer Economic Intelligence Unit, and then we have developed the livability city index based on the people's perception, what they really want, how they think that city is livable, in which part of the city it is more livable than other parts. So we have done a very good survey and from the people, and then we have collected all the GIS layers about those parameters, what the people are telling, and then we have analyzed it by analytical hierarchy process and fuzzy analytical hierarchy process. Both technology we have used. So why people want to live in certain parts? Because there are business opportunities, there are facilities, but major problem is traffic in Bangkok now. They have SkyTrain, they have road, very big roads, lot of cars are there, so you cannot move faster. SkyTrain is there, and then underground. Everything is there, but it's still traffic problem could not be solved, and they are thinking what to do next. So here in our study, first thing is the questionnaire survey, interview with the experts, interview with the people, and based on the thing, what are the main factors they consider. So they don't consider 39 factors, only few, like safety, economic, environment, education, health, transportation, recreation, population density, and public utility. Based on these data and then their perception, we have to rank these factors and sub-factors. And then here we have used analytical hierarchy process. And how to rank? I cannot use my idea. So I have to take the idea from the people. And they can decide only between two factors, which is more important, which is less important. So we have done priority, a pairwise comparison matrix, and we have solved that matrix. And based on that, weight allocation was done for the factors and sub-factors. And then these GIS layer were merged together to develop the LCI, Livability City Index. And then we have sliced them into different categories like highest, medium, low, and not livable kind of thing. So based on that, we have created the maps. This is the Khon Kaen city, Khon Kaen district you can say, and then Nai Muang is the municipal area. And so we have taken the main part, not the Khon Kaen province, but the Khon Kaen district. And then we have taken the Nai Muang sub-district and around that area. And these are the data that we have collected from different departments like population, income, and all these things, like tourism, that is entertainment areas and ancient remains, all these things, occupation, crime, accident, locations and everything. We have collected hospitals, number of incinerators and all that. So, and then we have created the maps using GIS like safety map. So wherever the disaster prevention center, the blue dots, and then police stations, red dots, then we have created the buffer, like less than 5 kilometer, 5 to 10 kilometer, 10 to 15, greater than 15, and we have created the maps from the point data. After that, we have created the maps about environmental, like villages. So in the district, there are small township, or we call them villages, and then mixed orchard like greenery, and then miscellaneous. And from that, this map was created. Then economic data. Normally in Thailand, if you come, then people want to live near the mall or near the 7-Eleven so that they can do shopping and whatever their needs are there, they can go there. So you develop one mall, and then a lot of colonies will be developed around that. It means people like to live there. So we have taken the data about 7-Eleven because this is a small city, so not major malls are there. 1 or 2 have come now, but 7-Elevens are plenty. So we have taken 7-Eleven then less than 500, 500 to 1500 meter buffer. Like that, we have created these layers. And then education, university, college, schools, and then we have created the buffers around them, like a 1 kilometer buffer, 1.5 kilometer, 2 kilometer buffer, and then all around that. Then healthcare centers. From all the healthcare center, we have created the buffers less than 5 kilometer, 5 to 10, 10 to 15, greater than 15. Then population density map. So we have got the population of the whole district and then different sub-district. Based on that, we have created the raster data layer about population density. And then recreation map we have created, and their distance buffer zones we have created. Then transportation map and buffer zones we have created. So everybody wants this facility as near as possible to their where they want to live. And then it is a very complex thing, like so many data layers are there, like public utility now, mobile cell tower center, so that signal strength should be the best. Everybody wants a very high quality signal now. So they want to live near the tower. It should not be away from that. And they want a high speed signal so that they can enjoy the internet. And this is essential also. So based on that, we have prepared the pairwise comparison matrix. So there are say 9 factors, and then we have created this, and then experts have given their opinion and public has given. So based on that, we have accumulated these decisions, and then we filtered out, and the best decision we have taken. And in this technique, there is also a system to check our decision, like consistency ratio. And if it is less than 0.1, then our decisions are consistent. So it was very good, 0.037 it came. And then we are happy with this index. And then after that, we got the weight for different factors. Otherwise, to calculate the weight of different factors in the ratio of 1, it is so difficult. And this is very scientific approach. And based on this, we have allocated the weight to different layers, the map that we have, and then we have added them. So this is the LCI model that we have got. So we have got the weight and different factors. So CI is the weight here, and then FS is the factor weight for safety, and then for each cell, the value of that from the safety, it will be taken and multiplied by that factor weight. So all the 9 factor weight multiplied by the cell values of the concerned GIS layer. And then we got the LCI. And after that, for the whole district, the livability was done. So we got 3 zones of livability: Zone 1, Zone 2, and Zone 3. So Zone 2 and Zone 3 may be the new areas which are developing along with the Konkan main areas. So dark green color is the highest livable zone, then followed by high livable, then moderate to high, then moderate, and then low livable. And after that, very, very light green color, you can see it is lowest livable because nobody is living. Population of this Konkan district is quite low, but people are still having the choices where to live. So now it is very clear that where the people like it, and now there is a chance that this green highest area is already very nicely favored by the people to live. Now high area and moderate to high area and moderate area can be upgraded by creating the people's desire. What are the things they want? So if those facilities are generated in these areas, then suddenly lot of area will be highest living, and then people will be quite happy. In my opinion, there can be satellite towns like Zone 3 and Zone 2, and there the people should be pulled out so that we have new zones for development around Konkan. So based on that, in GIS, we can find out how much area in Zone 1, Zone 2, Zone 3 is highest livable area, then high livable. You can see Zone 3, only moderate livable area is there. not even moderate to high. So that way we can find out which areas are what kind of livability. Now we have applied this model onto another city which is called Suphanburi, and just to check whether our model works or not, and then we got all the GIS layer: environment, safety, healthcare, transportation, public utility, education, economy, population density and recreation, and then created the buffer zone as we created earlier. And then we applied the model, LCI model, and we got the livability city area, like which areas are highest level, high livable, and then moderate to high, and moderate livable, low livable. So very nicely it has mapped those areas. Now this gives a chance for the municipality and the decision makers what to do to make moderate living areas into high, and create a good condition of living for the people. So this can be applied into certain similar condition of the city, and then these are the analysis we can do. And then we found that there is a lot of fuzziness into the judgment from the expert and the people, and so how to overcome that. So we have introduced fuzzy AHP, and in this thing, same kind of system data and everything is there, but only thing is we have told that people cannot give one decision that I like this one this much. So they will be between some numbers, like say, okay, it is equally, like I like equally these two factors, or they will say I like this one moderately higher than this one. So it will be like a triangular decision people take. So based on the middle value, we will take one step down, one step up. So that kind of triangular fuzziness we have introduced our system. And then equally, moderately, strongly, very strongly, extremely. So this is the scale we have used, and then fuzzy numbers 1 to 9, and triangular membership number were like 111, 123, 234, and we have used this to calculate the priority matrix and weight.
Professor, you have one more minute.
We got, yeah, okay. So then we have applied, and for the Suphanburi case, we got the livability map. So with this, we can compare the livability map from AHP and fuzzy AHP, and then we can find out what part of the city is livable and how we can improve the other parts to the higher living standards for the people. And this paper is already published in good journal. So with this, I will stop here. Time is less. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you very much for concluding. It's a very interesting topic about working out the index for livable cities. I'm sure the survey department of the KDU will work with the Department of Architecture working out these indexes. So I'll just leave it at that. Since we are running short of time, can I open the QA session to the audience for any questions before I sum up? Any questions? Anything from the young graduates out there? Or the cadets? No? I think everybody's getting very tired of listening and wanting to have a cup of tea. If there are no questions, I'll just ask one or two questions from each of the person, okay? Starting from Professor Lalith. Lalith, you were talking about debt. May I just get my restructuring of our debt and how it could be done and gain experience so that our country can be a better place. So can you give me, I saw your long chart of things, right? And giving all the various answers to that. Lalith, can you say a few words about that very quickly?
Yeah, all these sectors can be integrated and collaborated. Say, like, and you know, there's resilience in our say society during, because say people who are occupied in farming, like paddy cultivation, you know, their job is seasonal. So when the paddy cultivation season is over, they may go and do fishing. So there's different sectors, changeover of people. So coming back to your question, we have to think as a country, we have to generate wealth. We have to generate income, value addition. Without doing that, borrowing money, importing fossil fuel and running up and down does not generate any income. Does not produce anything. You only import everything, consume, borrow money, consume. So we are doing it is snowballing the debts. So we have to realize that everybody has to get together and think of how we are going to, that is what I think other speakers were talking, innovation and invention and innovation. We have to generate business. We have to increase the world of work for young people to work and earn money. When they earn, by way of taxing, by way of collection levies, the government can earn money, government can collect money. And that is the money that the government should spend on development and repayment of loans. So to do that, before doing all that, we have to get out of the problem. So that is why we negotiate with the debtors and renegotiate to repay it in longer period, in smaller quantities. Like when we take a loan from the bank, if we are in difficulties to repay, we go to the bank and reschedule the loan. So what the IMF is trying to do is reschedule. You know, when the debtors reschedule, IMF will give funds to support that, right? IMF will not give just money to eat and consume and burn like, you know, imported fuel. That is the restructuring.
Thank you, Lalith. I'm not talking about any political regime. During Mrs. Bandaranaike's time, many years ago, I'm sure some of you were not born even, I'm not 100% sure. There was she imposed sustainability, self-sufficiency. I can still remember as students, we couldn't bring rice from one village to another or whatever. The rice had to stay in those villages. So there was that self-sustainability. I'm thinking if we had continued with that, maybe at that time today we will be more self-sufficient and what we are, especially in the construction industry. One of the main things that the government is telling us is construction industry is the highest industry that spends foreign exchange, because our construction industry builds everything, but what we have only sand and metal, and we bring everything from outside. So we are in the back burner at the moment, saying that we have to wait in the queue before agriculture and all these kinds of things. So I think as young graduates, this is your future, because I'm going to the next speaker, who was Mr. Upul Shantha. He was not talking his presentation to you and I. We are in the older generation. So he was talking to the young generation about critical thinking and what else did you talk about? Critical thinking and open-mindedness. So I'm going to ask one little advice, not too long, Lalith, Upul, just give two very small advice that is so specific, so the students can take it away when they go home and they can think about it. You can say a little bit more if you like.
Yeah. Thank you, Professor. There are a lot in mind, but one thing I must say, the first thing is you have to ask questions. Because we were born in Sri Lanka, live in this culture, from the day one you are at home, your mother, if you talk, your mother must be telling, shut up your mouth. Then you go to the school, again, if you ask questions, teacher will shut your mouth. And when you come to the university, I'm not referring to the KDU, but seniors will shut your mouth because there's a ragging. So we have the culture of not asking, but what we are doing is what you were told. Like Professor Saman said. So STEM graduates should ask questions to understand the question. So my first request is to start asking questions. Then you can understand the problem. The second thing I want to tell you is, in the universities, you were taught the theory. Understand the principles behind the theory. Always try to understand the principle behind the theory taught by your university, taught by your lecturers. Once you understand the principle, you can work anywhere in the world, especially quantity surveyors, architects and engineers. The theory, the principle is the most important thing. Once you understand the holistically the principle, you can work in Middle East, you can work in Australia, you can work in USA. So, and in Sri Lanka also. So, Professor asked me two things. First, speak and ask questions. Second, understand the problems, understand the principles, and work those principles to the betterment of the society. Thank you.
Thank you, Upul. I quite agree with what Upul says about our Asian culture, because we are generally very obedient to our family, our parents, and we do exactly, not now, but in those days, if your father said sit, you sat, you see. You study, you studied. And I must say, and we didn't ask questions, but today you must not be rude, you must ask questions correctly. One example I can tell you is when I went to Australia and I was teaching in the University of Western Sydney for 80 Australian building students, and I was like a little midget and this whole big seminar room, and the very first thing when I walked in, the Australian students asked me, "Madam, are you quite trained to teach us?" I nearly had a heart attack, you see. I mean, it was not rude. They wanted to find out whether I was suitable to teach that. Of course, because I had a big mouth, I said, okay, I will tell you, the university has looked at my CV and selected me. However, I will tell you all my qualification from A level up to my everything, I told them, so that they knew that I was quite capable of teaching. What I'm saying is, it's not for me to boast, but they ask questions where they want to satisfy themselves that they are learning and what we are teaching them is correct. But in our society, we tend not to give that opportunity to students. I can still remember in the University of Moratuwa, very digressing a little bit, when the RICS came, the panel came, all my students used to stand up, you see, and say good evening or good morning or whatever. So they were really, surprised. Of course, I had taught them also, say, please get up when you come, and then make sure that they answered from various places so that they thought that we knew English. So it was, of course, strategy, but at the same time, they were very surprised because we were very obedient, very good students, and very obliging, So I don't think we should lose those cultural heritage or whatever, but still question. If you don't question, you'll never get an answer. So I'm going to the next one. So it's Mr. It's of course, our additional Surveyor General of Mr. S. Sivanantharajah. He, of course, talked about a very important topic, land. In our country, land is a big problem. I can tell you, I also had a land problem. I bought a land and I thought it was a proper deed. Finally to see, even me, I got cheated, and my land thing is in the courts for the last 10 years because it was a wrong, deed. So I spent nearly 20 million, my whole earnings up to date I don't have. So I'm saying this land administration is a very important aspect, and I'm very happy that survey department is looking at land administration and sustainable development of our country. So are you doing, now I just want to ask you one question. What is Bhumi?
BIM survey.
BIM survey, are we going through that still?
Yeah. Actually, when I talk about this, as you mentioned, the deed registration, that is one of the main issues. Even without the land, so you can write the deeds. As Madam said, you can cheat also. Yeah. But that substitute that one, we go with the title also, title certificate. As everybody have the vehicle, they have a registration of vehicle registration is there. Similarly, for the land also, we are going to introduce a title for that one. Okay. That will be secured one. But the thing is, if we want to surveying by own our department, take years. I think nearly another 20 or 30 years to complete all the land in Sri Lanka. That's why we are looking forward for a solution. At least a short term, we try to do the fabric level. We identify the land first, and then we can do the surveying also. Because once you survey the lands and it go with the title registration, that the land tenure is secured. That means each land will be identified by the parcel as a number, unique number, and that can be re-established at any time. Therefore, like a vehicle also, you have a number is there, vehicle number is there. Similarly, for the land also, there is a number. That will be in the future, but for that one, as we know, because there are different departments are working individually, separately, we must integrate. There are land reform commission. There are a lot of lands taken by the land reform commissions, and it has gone to the estates and like that. There are forest lands are there. Therefore, we have to integrate everything. At least the initial stage, we try to now, our ministry also working with the new secretary is very willing to work. First to identify the lands, what is available, and then we go with the title also, but that is a future plan.
Thank you. I have a small example also. So recently, I was the expert witness for the survey department's accuracy of quantities in a dredging contract. Okay, so you had done RTK surveys and various GPS methodologies, and I'm hoping that that kind of new technology, digital technology, because now the Industrial Revolution 4 has come by, so IR4 is here. So all the digital technologies must be taught to our students. Even now, I as a quantity surveyor had to go and justify, because I'm a quantity surveyor, I'm a quantum expert. So they said, if you're a quantum expert, you should be able to justify the quantities of the survey department, because I said survey department is the best department in Sri Lanka to do survey. So I had to study about RTK surveys, sonar, GPS, and so many things. And in one of the results, the survey department has stated that we are taking certain assumptions, which I did not see that. So the expert, because I was an expert witness, the tribunal asked me, Madam, have you taken these assumptions together, like compaction and all these? So now I'm studying about that, so that when I go to the next tribunal, I'll be full bottle on survey technique. So I might speak to Dr. Lakmal also very soon. Okay, so thank you very much, Mrs. Sivanantharajah. The next one is, let me talk about it, is Professor Saman Yapa. Professor, that was very, very interesting, because I still didn't know, first I didn't know what STEM was. It's science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And I think young students, all of you should have listened to that, because innovation and entrepreneurship and invention, all are very, very upcoming topics. It's not only for engineering students, pardon me for saying, it's for architectural students, quantity surveying students, everybody, because that is the way that the world is going. What is your one advice to these young students?
I think Probably one day, as other speakers also mentioned, probably one day you can become your own boss. And so probably, I don't know, quantity surveys can start their own business or something like that. Rather than working under someone else, you can become your own boss, and you have to inculcate a lot of skills, and especially how to work with people wherever you work. That networking is very important. Probably someone you meet today, maybe after 10 years, he may be in a CEO of a company. Or so the networks are very important, and rather than being introvert, you can extrovert and being friendly with other people and get to know the other people. One day that will helpful for you. And also, I think as mentioned, you mentioned, that one of the problems is how to get our people to talk is a main problem in our universities. Not only in, I don't know, in other faculties it's the same, especially after, and also you have to work hard as well. In the last week also, I asked my students, now we are talking about flipped classes. Flipped classes is that students have to do a lot of work before they come to the class. And in the classes, we mainly discuss about the case studies and the real-time problems, how to use that theory in the class and things like that. But if the students don't work at home, then we can't do it. Then now in the Sri Lanka qualification framework, we are talking about notional hours. Yes. That every 1 hour we teach, they have to spend 2 hours at home. Yes. So that's what we expect. But when they come back to the class, they have not turned up the lecture notes. Then how can we continue? Because I was prepared to do the first 20 minutes for the students to discuss. If they don't know, in the classroom they can't read the 20-page article. So you have to work hard, and this is, I think these students are more fortunate than our students because you are doing a full-time studies. I mean, our students are also doing full-time work, but you are paid, I think, cadet officers, and also you are supposed to learn. So I think these 3 years or 4 years, you have to work hard and you have to learn. This will be the best years in your life. You have to enjoy the life as well as you have to put the foundation for your future life. For that one, we have to work hard, I think.
Thank you. I must congratulate, I think, KDU, especially the Faculty of Built Environment and Special Sciences, for starting this research conference, because it's very important to have R&D in your own university. I was wondering whether you have incubators for people to work from, say, if they bring their ideas and startups here in the in KDU. Doctor, do you have any incubators or startup companies here?
KDU Care. That is for the combinatory research. So, and what we are doing here, we do some public-private partnerships, innovations, and we commercialize all these things. So that's the way forward what we have taken up, and also now we have introduced another component called KDU Conso, that is Consultants Service Unit. So both we are doing certain innovative things, and what Professor Saman indicated clearly. Yes. So we have to commercialize all these things, whatever otherwise we cannot address the thing what Professor Lalith indicated, right? We cannot generate money, right? We can, of course, we have understood that this is not the solution for the Sri Lankan economic system. We have to generate money from some other developments.
So thank you, Doctor. Look here, young students, it's your future. So ideas made into business. So the KDU has a KDU Care. I think you should get all involved in those and bring your ideas and then develop it, and then it can become a business. And I think that's very important what Professor Yapa was talking for the future. Then finally, Professor Nitin Kumar, he was talking about the livability and the city index. I think that's very suitable for our young architectural students. I'm sure there are a lot of architects here and architectural students. It was a little bit mathematical. We are a little not very hot on mathematics, but anyway, this has been done by various geometric or photogrammetry and geometric statistic data. But I'm sure again, KDU has a very big surveying department here, and architecture department is here. Maybe what they were talking about, the livability and the city index, could be done as a pilot program here, because we have all the necessary resources here. So would you like to say something about that, Mr. Nitin? I think he's not there now. Okay.
No, I think Dr. Nitin, I think you have mentioned about the livable city index. Have you considered anything, factors related to the land use patterns and the migration pattern of from the urban, rural area to the urban area in your research?
I don't think Dr. Nitin is there. Maybe we can send that question to him and get it answered. Okay.
Okay, right.
We have almost come to the end of this plenary session. There's one request from Professor Lalith de Silva, where he had a little clip which he would have liked to put it. Can we? The last slide is ready. Are you ready, Lalith? From here, the compier will take over, and he will do the awards and things like that. Okay. We have a tea break, so maybe we can, are you ready, or we can, it's not working, okay. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to hand over to the compier now.
Thank you, madam. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of the plenary session, and it is time to award tokens of appreciation to the plenary speakers. To award the tokens of appreciation, I would like to invite the chair of this session, Emeritus Professor Chitra Weddikkara. Emeritus Professor Lalith de Silva, Chartered Quantity Surveyor, GM Upul Shantha. Mr. S. Sivanantharajah. Professor Saman STW Yapa. Professor Nitin Kumar Tripathi. Token of appreciation is awarded virtually. Thank you, madam. Please remain on stage. I cordially invite the Rector, Southern Campus, Major General LCR Jayasuriya, RSP, NDC, PSC, accompanied by Dr. A.H. Lakmal, Dean, Faculty of Built Environment and Spatial Sciences, to award the token of appreciation to the session chair, Professor Chitra Weddikkara. Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, as we have come to the end of the plenary session, I would like to introduce the panel of judges for the technical and poster sessions of Faculty of Built Environment and Spatial Sciences. Architect Associate Professor Dr. M.N.R. Vijayatunge, Department of Architecture, Faculty of Built Environment and Spatial Sciences, General Sir John Kotlawala Defence University, Southern Campus. Dr. Ravihansa Chandatilaka, Managing Director, Canville Holdings, Private Limited. Planner, Dr. T.G.U.P. Pereira, Head, Department of Estate Management and Evaluation, University of Sri Jayewardenepura. Ladies and gentlemen, the evaluation of poster presentations will begin at 5:15 p.m. I invite you all to enjoy the refreshments served in Design Studio 1 of the faculty premises. I would also like to invite the plenary session chair, plenary speakers, and distinguished invitees for a group photo on stage.